I know all about flipping. For 30, 40 years, I've been watching flippers. It almost ought to be
Breaking news.
outlawed. If I ever got impeached, I think everybody would be very poor.
Says who? Says who?
Hey everybody, welcome. It's that time again. Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from a very, very hot downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, streaming at WMNHradio.org. You can also find WMNH on the TuneIn app, so you can take us wherever you go on your mobile device. We're on Channel 97 Comcast in Manchester, and of course on Facebook via Facebook Live on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. 603-250-6007 is a number to call, and it's Tuesday, August 28th, 2018. Jenny is here as well.
Hi.
And you're in the Facebook Live chat, I noticed.
I am.
Along with, we've got a bunch of people in there already. Ben Dion is in there, host of the Weekly Dion, which is live Thursdays at 6 p.m. immediately following this program.
That's so cool.
The Honorable Gary S. Hopper is in the Facebook Live chat as well. Peter White from The Morning Show with Peter White is in there, as well as NASCAR Nicey.
Peter.
I see Nicey in there, so we got all kinds of people. So
I feel like we need a mirror. And I see Peter, and
right,
I see,
yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Romper room, yes.
Romper room, yes. I need a mirror.
Yes. So that's one of the ways that you can interact with the program, of course, is via the Facebook Live chat. You can also give us a call, 603-250-6007. You can also tweet me anytime at Matt Connarton, and we can interact that way.
He tweets his Twitter.
That's right. All right, let's get the traffic report out of the way here.
It's fine.
Traffic is good. That's it.
All right, there's traffic. And let's see. So I hope everyone found that helpful. Gary posted something. I don't know if Gary meant to put this in the Facebook Live chat or not, because I just saw this on his page.
Is he trying to bait you into something?
I don't know. You never know with the Honorable Gary S. Hopper. You know how he is.
Don't do it.
Or I guess you never know how he is.
Don't fall for the bait.
My goodness.
Don't fall for it.
He says, inside baseball, every 2 years, the New Hampshire House elects a Secretary of State. Since I was elected in 2000, that vote has always gone to Bill Gardner. It was a while before I knew that Bill was a Democrat. It is also a nonpartisan post. And the only thing I needed to know is that he does a good job. Now enter into the mix Colin Van Ostrich. I see what you did there.
See, he's making a political play for who he thinks should be Secretary of State.
Who has already collected over $200,000 to be the next SOS.
That's like getting a free political ad.
That $500 to talk to each state rep into voting for Colin.
Yes. Boo.
Well, I think he's shilling for him. I think he still supports Bill Gardner, is my impression from reading that.
He's shilling for somebody. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's all right. I did, Gary said. Yes. So, okay, so he did mean to post that in there. Heidi Hamer says, good hot afternoon to you guys. Yes. Gary's allowed to...
Where's my sign?
He's allowed to shill for whomever he wants.
I'm going to stop talking to you, Heidi Hamer, if I do not see a sign fairly soon.
Yes, Heidi's running for office, for those who don't know what you're referring to. Hello to Fred Bonig from the dailyripple.org, who also joins us in the Facebook Live chat. Yeah, Bill Gardner. I mean, I get the impression he's someone everyone likes, regardless of party likes and respects. And
it's not just his likability.
And he's been Secretary of State for something like 120 years, right?
He's like a walking encyclopedia. You can ask him anything, and he can give you minutia detail that is so interesting about a particular president or a particular primary. or something of that nature. I mean, he really does. He really, I believe he really does absolute best to stick to New Hampshire law. If you don't like the law, change the law. But I think that what Bill Gardner does is try to stick exactly to the law.
Well, I hate minutia detail. I say ignorance is bliss.
You would.
Gary says, just the fact that someone has 200K signatures for the SOS race. SOS, that reminds me of ABBA.
No. Secretary of State.
ABBA has a song called SOS. That's all I'm saying.
It's not SOS. It's not a song.
Oh, well, it is a song, but I mean, in this context, it's something
Secretary of
else.
State.
What do you
In
have
this
against
context? It's actually something important.
That's something against ABBA?
No.
All right. Just
course
making sure.
not.
What are they, Swedish or something? You had something against Swedes?
No,
Are
actually,
they Swedish?
didn't we find out
where are they
that
from?
I was? What was it? Was that where I was part?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was weird.
No,
it was
you-
someplace, Siberia. Was it Siberia?
They're not Siberian. Hello to Dr. Jeff Cassell, who joins us in the Facebook
My
live chat.
complexion definitely matches it.
Yes, yes.
What I don't get is the Italian.
Oh, I'm sorry, $200,000, not 200,000 signatures.
Oh.
Yes, he must really want that seat there, that Colin Van
So
Ostrich.
in other words, what Representative Hopper is saying is that
Please, the
there
Honorable
is-
Gary S. Hopper, please.
why
Let's give him the
can't
proper.
I said representative.
I know, but it's like
It's
if you-
perfectly acceptable and honorable to refer to him as representative.
I just
you
think-
maintain the last title in which you were elected to.
I know. I just and he is a current representative. I just think that by saying the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, and
I don't have to call him the honorable.
by
I
including-
can call him representative.
including-
it's perfectly legit.
including the middle initial, I feel gives him the proper gravitas that I feel
Perhaps
he
you
deserves.
need to gravitas to gravel or whatever
What?
on the floor. That's what you sound like.
Gravitas to gravel on the
Yeah,
floor? I don't understand.
what's wrong with representative?
Nothing's wrong with it.
There's
I just
nothing
feel
wrong with it.
the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, a man of his distinction, I think deserves to. He needs us to remind everyone that he is honorable and that his middle initial is S, which I believe stands for Sean. And by the way, he shares the
He
same.
doesn't even put that on his profile.
And he shares the same middle initial as the dearly departed John S. McCain. All the more reason to include the S in Gary S. Hopper.
No. Give Gary credit where credit is due to a certain extent, but to compare him to John, I think you're going way overboard there.
Well, I'm not talking about comparisons. I'm talking about gravitas.
You are.
It's about
there
the
you
gravitas.
go again. You want to gravel, and here you want to.
I don't want to gravel.
Perhaps you want to gravel in front of someone
What
and
is
call them honorable or whatever.
What is
Representative
graveling?
is perfectly acceptable and respectable, and does not defile his current seat or
What do you mean by-
former seat.
What do you mean by graveling?
Well, that's what you sound like.
I sound like I'm graveling?
You sound like that's what you're gonna do. Like if he walked in here, you'd be like, "Oh, the honorable Gary Lover," and you'd be graveling on the floor.
Do you mean groveling?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah, you said it wrong.
Oh, be quiet.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, you know.
Goody, pick it apart.
wanted
Yes,
Keep on stabbing me in the back.
Yep, yeah.
Keep on stabbing me in the back.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yep, gonna. Keep
Hello
it.
to Christian Cunard, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
I'm going to kick his butt.
Well,
His
speaking.
buttocks shall fly across the city, over the capital, and land squarely on the Honorable Gary S. Hopper's seat.
Gary's in where? He's not even in Manchester.
Oy vey.
How dare you? I will not have a flying buttocks.
Oh my God.
Well, speaking of gravitas, our president, Donald John Trump, has a new enemy that he's going to, that he's taking to task and fighting the good fight. And that enemy, of course, is Google. He's very upset with, Fred says maybe she was paving the way to you. Get it? Paving the way? Because gravel. Yes, our president is very upset with Google. Apparently, Google is being terribly unfair to the president, And
Why?
I'd like to, well, I'm going to play the clip for you of the president today raising the issue. This is today, and Shepard Smith of Fox News had some comments to make, and I love Shep Smith. He's always hilarious. So we'll get a little bit of his analysis of what the president had to say about Google and how terribly unfair Google is to our president, Donald John Trump. Here we go. And by the way, please notice I say Donald John Trump because I think it's important. Although I am critical of him, I want to give him the proper gravitas.
Yeah, the wall will be paid for very easily by Mexico. It'll ultimately be paid for by Mexico. Yeah, I think Google is really taking advantage of a lot of people, and I think that's a very serious thing, and it's a very serious charge. I think what Google and what others are doing, if you look at what's going on at Twitter, if you look at what's going on in Facebook, they better be careful because you can't do that to people. You can't do it. We have literally thousands and thousands of complaints coming in, and you just can't do that. So I think that Google and Twitter and Facebook, they're really treading on very, very troubled territory, and they have to be careful. It's not fair to large portions of the population. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
I'm confused.
That's a song, isn't it? That's Simon and Garfunkel, a bridge over very troubled territory.
Water.
And then here's Shepard Smith's reaction.
Well, Mexico will pay for the wall, as we all know. And this new thing, today's new thing, not a thing, but a thing, Google is taking advantage of a lot of people. Google, Facebook, and Twitter, you can't do that to people. They're treading on troubled territory, which means nothing. John Rock, what is he talking about? Treading on troubled territory? You can't do that. Do what to people?
I think what he's doing, Shep, is he's just venting. He doesn't like the coverage that he sees, particularly in the Google search results. And we pointed out some of what the president may have been either seeing on Google himself or had relayed to him. He sees a lot of Facebook postings that are anti his presidency. But the Twitter thing to me was a little strange.
Look,
because
let me tell you, as
nobody's
one who
more prolific than him.
As one who might not like Twitter, all the time for reasons that would be clearly obvious to anyone who ever went there and put my name in the thing, but just part of what he doesn't like is the news. It's not the people who are delivering it or the platforms on which they receive it. It seems to be the news itself, because around there the news it's not good, except the fake news. The fake news seems to be pretty good for him. The real news seems to be unpleasant.
Down to him.
Yeah, every once in a while, a news organization makes a fairly substantial mistake. We saw one of those over the past 24 hours. But by and large, Shep, I think he doesn't like the tone of what he sees in terms of the coverage. He doesn't like a lot of the comments that he gets on Twitter. But again, nobody punches harder on Twitter than the president does. So, he might not like what he sees on Google or Facebook, but I think he's got a pretty fair fight going on Twitter.
There are definitely people who punch harder, John. There are definitely that. But you know what?
I haven't met him yet.
You don't feel the punch from the Twitter. That's the thing. It's a sticks and stones kind of thing. Thick skin is required. John, thanks. Google, one more time. Let me read this to you again. Mexico's paying for the wall. Google takes advantage of a lot of people. Google, Facebook, and Twitter, you can't do that to people. You're treading on some kind of territory. I lost the page, but you know what? It didn't make sense then. It wouldn't make sense now. Information on how to build guns that are...
All right, there you go.
Didn't make sense then.
What kind of a man
Doesn't make
is
sense
this?
now.
I said, what kind of a man is this?
Somebody who can actually make me snort live on air while I'm trying to laugh. Because you just... I feel as if I've been vindicated in some way that, my first response was not the only one in the world to go, what in the world was that?
Well, yeah, and Shep Smith is like the one person on Fox who can get away with, it's like he's not required for whatever reason to fillet the president on a daily basis and can actually pick on him, which is interesting. Bunch of Facebook Live activity. So Pete Trouble Morse, that's somebody new in the Facebook Live chat, says today's show brought to you by the letter F, ETH?
F-E-
I'm not sure I get it. I don't get it. I don't know what
Fetch?
I don't know what that means.
Fetch?
ETH. I don't know what that means by the letter F. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Is that like a letter? Is that like a reference to Shep Smith being gay, maybe? And he's making a lisp joke? I don't know. I'm not sure what. That's the only thing I can think of. Hello to Alan Clark, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Alan from the Potential Problems podcast.
Hi.
John Midas Manning is in there. DJ Midas, he hosts Late Night Delight, which you can hear every Saturday night starting at midnight, I believe, here on WMNH, and then with a replay on Sunday night. Great show. And Josh Fishwick also in the Facebook live chat. We got a lot of people in there today.
I want to know how you people in the fake media, because I know that you would fall into that category by the temperament of your stories. How have you rigged Google against the president?
How have I personally rigged Google against
how have you contributed to rigging Google so search results will come up with fake news and terrible stories and untrue things and not the true, wonderful, perfect, shiny, gold POTUS from...
Well, I don't know. I think he's blaming Google
whatever.
itself. I think he's blaming whoever is in charge at Google for being against him, for being out to get him. He might be confused, by the way. In his mind, he might be confusing Google with Amazon.
I wish I could do a Trump impression, but I really can't do one.
No, I can't either.
I really can't do one. But he Googled. Did you read his Google?
No. What happens if you Google Trump?
No. What Trump Googled about what Trump Twittered about Google. Oh my God.
No,
I'm going down the social rabbit hole.
No, I didn't see it.
Google search results for Trump news shows only the viewing reporting of fake news media. In other words, they have it rigged for me and others so that almost all stories and news is bad. Fake CNN is promoted. Republican, conservative, and fan media is a shout out. Illegal, 96% of it. And that's Trump.
Wow. Well, I feel terrible. I feel terrible for the way that Google is treating our president.
Google did issue an answer. They said, and I quote, "Search is not used to set a political agenda, and we don't bias our results towards any political ideology." A Google spokesperson said, "We continually work to improve Google search, and we never rank search results to manipulate political sentiment."
Fred in the Facebook live chat says Trump heard it on Lou Dobbs. I don't know if Fred's kidding or not, because Trump does get his news from conservative media.
No, I believe it was his economic advisor Larry Kudlow that actually got him going on that. Go take a look at Google's finances and see who's financing them, and then you'll know how come.
Larry Kudlow. Well, I'm going to get to that in a moment. I've got a story here. Hello to Jackie Brown, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. It says here, this is from Mediaite, National Economic Council Chief Larry Kudlow says the White House is looking at ways to regulate Google. Oh, my God. After President Trump claimed the online search engine is rigged against him. Earlier today, Trump got on Twitter. By the way, I'm so glad that this is what the White House is working on. There's nothing more important going on in the world to be concerned with than this. This is great. Oh, Fred says, even the guy that ran the test said it wasn't scientific. Oh, I think Fred's referring to something else with that because he posted a couple stories about Bitcoin. Let's see. It says here, earlier today, Trump got on Twitter to complain that Google searches for his name yields mostly critical articles about him from the, quote, fake news media. To this point, he accused Google of an illegal conspiracy to suppress conservatives and hide positive news about his administration in order to amplify critics. When the White House press pool asked Kudlow whether Trump's tweets mean there needs to be some kind of regulation for Google, he answered with, quote, "We'll let you know. We're taking a look at it," unquote. Just what we need the government doing. Trump seems to have based his Google bias claim on a blog from conservative-leaning PJ Media, which determined that 96% of search results on the president supposedly lead to left-leaning sites and news sources. This comes after Trump spent the last few days lashing out at Twitter, which he accused of shadow banning and suppressing conservative voices. I think Trump's just getting it all mixed up in his head.
Anybody who dares to say a negative in any way, shape, or form against the Trump or Trumpkin is going to get a lashing, a tongue lashing on Twitter or some pout or some whatever. If you are highly of him, you're fine. He has no tolerance level whatsoever for, how shall I say, constructive criticism.
Of course.
There's no tolerance level for that at all.
Okay, Fred clarified what he was saying. He said, no, this was, they actually did a segment about this on Lou Dobbs' show. He said they used 2 computers. That was the test. He said even the guy that ran the test said it wasn't scientific. Lou did a show on it featuring a guy that ran it on 2 computers. Okay. Geez, I might see if I can find that. Christian Connarton says, whatever happened to the First Amendment, freedom of speech? He can sit back and criticize others, but he can't take a dose of his own medicine.
Oh, exactly.
Well, that's very true.
That's exactly true.
Yes. So.
Meanwhile, in the real world, people can't afford to take care of themselves because the rate of inflation and everything is caught up that any gains that anybody made, they've now lost. And that's being said by economists all around the globe. That's being said by economists in every different newspaper. So are they all biased? Are they all fake news?
Yes,
Is
of
Fox
course.
News economy and CBS economy, fake news? Because they're both reporting the same numbers, the same results. And that number is that, we've got a great unemployment rate in numbers, but in reality, as far as how are people being able to live, how are people being able to put a roof over their head, how are people being able to feed themselves, their kids, get them clothes, just take care of the basic necessities. I mean, I'm looking at an article from Money Watch, and it literally says half, not a quarter, not a little, not a few, half of all Americans can't pay for their basic needs. Why is that?
Right. Hello to Chuck Gosson, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. The Wall Street Journal is actually criticizing Trump. They tend to be pretty friendly to Trump, but Mediaite has a story, Friendly Fire, Wall Street Journal ridicules trade deal with Mexico. Worse than NAFTA pullout is what they're saying. Again, this is the Wall Street Journal saying this. One of their op-ed writers says here, can by and large be considered friendly to Trump, at least more so than those who work for many other outlets. But with friends like these, who needs enemies? Today, the Journal ripped apart the president's trade deal with Mexico in a scathing op-ed. The editorial reads, quote, "We'll reserve judgment until we read the fine print, but on first inspection, this is half a NAFTA that contains some improvements, but is probably worse in many ways," unquote. The Journal's editorial cited several major issues with the pact, notably Canada's exclusion raised eyebrows on the Journal's editorial board. Because to be clear, this is this is not NAFTA. This is something separate. This is just with Mexico. It doesn't include Canada at all in this. Quote, the New Deal has many problems, however, not least that it excludes Canada. U.S. Trade Rep Robert Lighthizer?
I think it has to.
Used the desire of Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto to sign a deal before he leaves office to raise the negotiating pressure on Canada. Negotiating.
What was that, Mr. Pick on everybody else in the world? What?
It's negotiating.
So you said what?
I don't know what I said. Negotiation.
I have no clue either.
Negotiating pressure on Canada. Mr. Trump implied Monday that either Ottawa signs or he'll slap a 25% tariff on cars made in Canada.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It can't work. And here's the basic reason why it can't work. And you can check on this yourself, find your own resources. I was literally with the Canadian consulate and being shown what it was like at the border crossings on the American and Canadian side, and being shown what it was like in the trade industry up in Canada, and because they have an extremely large boat. I mean, like the humongous ships that could fit umpteen houses on it or skyscrapers on them. They're huge. And they showed us all of this. And one of the things they showed us was that cars, so-called American-made cars, and I found this so disheartening, they come across the border and like have a part or something done here on the American side. And then they go back across the border to the Canadian side and they have something done from the Canadian side. And then they go back across the border to the American side and they have something done on that side. So if it won't work, it will literally kill the car industry. It will kill the car industry, period, because of the way things are set up now. And you can check with actually the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, who was with me when we actually heard those words about how the cars go back and forth across the border between the state of New Hampshire and the country of Canada for work to be done on them in order for these cars to be manufactured and put out for sale all across the world, I would say.
Says here, the piece added, quote, Canada handled that threat with prudent restraint, unquote. In the end, the journal's editorial board lobbed this fiery critique at the president, quote, we're glad to see Mr. Trump step back from the suicide of NAFTA withdrawal, but on the public evidence so far, his New Deal is worse. So there you go. That's the Wall Street Journal.
So that's the Wall Street Journal, okay? And I was reading to you from CBS or CNBC, and you read earlier stories about this from Finance Magazine, from Money Magazine, from other. It's coming from all sides. It's coming from bipartisan sources that this is not the correct direction to go in. It could potentially be an absolute catastrophe to American trade.
By the way, Fred did post the clip for anyone who wants to check it out. Not right now, later, after the show. But, okay, it's from last night, apparently, on Lou Dobbs. So that is where Trump got it, from Lou Dobbs' show. I guess Diamond and Silk was on there, too, showing that, the Google is biased against Trump.
Oh, God.
And DJ Midas in the Facebook live chat says, damn search engines. Yes.
Trump's worried about whether Google is fair to Trump, but he's not worried about whether or not cancer patients have access to medication. He's worried about whether or not his name is at the top of the list on that Google search that makes him look nice and golden and beautiful and great and wondrous to everyone.
Says who? Says who?
Says me.
No.
Says me, and I bet you a whole lot of other people who, when they see that name at the top of the list, don't think of gold, but they think of something else that begins with S that I can't say on air.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
If I ever got impeached, I think everybody would be very poor.
Well,
we're already there.
Oh, my.
We're already there. We're 50% there. How much farther does he want to go?
Sam Nunberg, who I have come to enjoy very much watching him on television, he apparently he had some very unkind words for New Hampshire's own Corey Lewandowski. Some very unkind words. This is from Mediaite. It says, hey, remember that time Sam Nunberg went on an explosive full throttle media blitz that was equal parts highly entertaining and completely insane? Well, this sort of looks like that, but on Twitter. It isn't clear what set off Nunberg today. This morning this happened, but he got online and threatened to take action against, quote, white trash scumbag Corey Lewandowski if the former Donald Trump campaign manager speaks about him ever again.
Hey.
Yeah, hey. How dare you, Sam Nunberg?
How dare you on the home team? No, we have to stand up for the home team.
No, we don't.
Well, why
You
not?
can if you want to.
He's not a bad guy. I mean, I agree with all of his politics, but he's not a bad person.
No, to be fair, I don't know him.
Well, then how dare you say something like that when you don't even know the guy?
What did I say?
You're making a judgment call on what kind of a person he is.
I didn't say anything about him.
Yeah, you did.
I read the quote from Sam Nunberg.
And then agreed with it.
I didn't say I agreed with it.
Yeah, you did.
No, I never said I agreed with it.
You indicated it. You absolutely insinuated it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't say anything.
You totally insinuated it.
I don't think
I
didn't
insinuated
insinuate anything.
that you agreed with it. Okay, then what is your opinion? Spit it out.
I don't really have an opinion
Spit it
because I don't
out.
know exactly what Nunberg is talking about. I don't know what he's trying to say here.
Well, I guess he's trying to say what kind of a person Corey Lewandowski is.
Yes.
So what kind of a person is he?
I don't
Do
know.
you agree with that statement? Do you agree or
No.
disagree with that statement?
I don't agree or disagree. I have no opinion.
Really?
I don't know Corey Lewandowski well enough to have an opinion.
But you don't find that the statement in and of itself to be a little bit?
It's a little
Too
rough.
far.
It's a little rough, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little. It's a little stiff, as they say in the wrestling business.
You think that's the?
Keep
Well,
on
this isn't
stabbing me in the
wrestling.
back.
This is supposed to be politics.
Keep on stabbing me in the back.
Yeah, well, and politics is rough. Let's see. He said more. He wasn't done yet, though. Nunberg also called. Oh boy, whoops! This just kind of flipped on. Here we go. Nunberg also called Lewandowski a bottom dweller scumbag.
Wow.
Dug up his old affair with Hope Hicks and cited the reports that he was pushed out of Trump's 2016 campaign because the president's children seriously disliked him. Never a dull moment. Update. Now Nunberg is fighting with Sherry Jacobus when she noted the reporting that she did on the Trump campaign. Let's see. So what's that about?
Oh, jeez.
So she tweeted, but didn't you do your part to help Corey lie about that super PAC Trump had in the primary and then help Trump and Corey lie about me to get me kicked off TV because I confirmed the Wash Post report that they had a super PAC? Let's discuss the catfishing and the hacking of my email. And then Nunberg responded, I had nothing to do with you. Remind you that super PAC was exposed after Roger and I left by two sources on background to the Washington Post. Jacobus then replied, oh, I know all about how it was exposed, Sam. You may want to stop tweeting. And then Nunberg, and then she wrote, and I know who the two sources were. Sam needs to back away slowly from this. And then Nunberg replied, you don't know blank. I can't say that on the air. And then Jacobus replied, keep telling yourself that, Sam. By the way, I spent 3.5 hours with the FBI plus dozens of other conversations. You're in over your head with me. Oh, my goodness. That seems to be the real fight. The real fight isn't Nunberg versus Lewandowski. It's Nunberg versus Jacobus. Okay.
They're just hiding.
What do you mean?
They're hiding behind Corey. Poor Corey. He's being used as the shield.
Oh, you feel bad for him, do you?
I do.
You know what I say? Wah, wah. Give him a little taste of his own medicine there. That's what I say about that.
Well, he was never unkind to me, so I cannot be unkind to him.
I understand. Fred's given us some music to play later.
Oh, no.
Looks like good stuff. So, there was some positive economic news. By the way, should we do? Yeah, we'll do this because you brought up the economy. Consumer confidence apparently is at an 18-year high. This is from Reuters. U.S. consumer confidence surged to a near 18-year high in August as households remained upbeat on the labor market, pointing to strong consumer spending that should help to sustain the economy for the remainder of the year. The bright economic outlook, however, was dimmed somewhat by other data showing the goods trade deficit widened sharply in July as exports of agricultural products tumbled, indicating trade could be a drag on growth in the third quarter. The jump in confidence this month suggests consumers are little worried about the Trump administration's protectionist trade policy, which has led to an escalation of a trade war between the U.S. and China, as well as a tit-for-tat tariffs with the European Union, Canada, and Mexico. Economists have warned that the duties on imports will raise prices for ordinary Americans as well as make raw materials more expensive for some manufacturers. There have been reports on some companies either laying off workers or planning to as a result of the import tariffs. Jim Baird, a chief investment officer at Plant Morin Financial Advisors in Kalamazoo, Michigan, said, quote, "That suggests a degree of skepticism about trade, inflation, or anything else knocking the economy off track. For now, consumers remain resiliently positive, which bodes well for household spending in the coming months," unquote. The Conference Board said its consumer confidence index jumped 5.5 points to 133.4 this month, the highest reading since October of 2000. Consumers' assessment of both current business and labor market conditions improved further in August. Many consumers said they plan to buy a house or other big-ticket items in the months ahead. The survey's so-called labor market differential, derived from data about respondents who think jobs are hard to get and those who think jobs are plentiful, rose to 30.0 in August from 28.0 in the prior month. Let's see. There's more here. I don't want to get too far into the weeds with it because and I start to get confused. I'm not even good at math, but yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, that's some good economic news. Fred points out that he goes, "You mean when Clinton was in? If you go back 18 years." See that? But I'm surprised though.
Yeah, but
that Trump isn't trying to take credit for this.
That.
I'm sure he will.
I'm sick of that. Every president does the same thing. If something's wrong, they blame the previous president. Something goes right, it's their doing. They caused it, or their predecessor caused it, which is of course from the same party. I'm just tired of that. I don't believe in it. I think it's bunk. There's a lot of things that play into what ends up being our economic situation, including the dummery that goes on in the governmental halls. Like General Motors. Let's dig out a company while another one sinks, and that's okay. We're just picking who gets to have a job and who doesn't. In some places, other places are saying it's hard. But then you've got companies look at some of the major companies that are switching to automatic systems to check out, automatic checkout lines in Walmarts, in other big chains. They're getting away from having cashiers altogether, and everything's electronic. How many jobs just went away with that electronics?
Oh, yeah.
And how many will continue to?
Yep, automation's having a big effect, absolutely.
Go to your pharmacy, watch your prescription get filled. Watch them put the information in, and a computerized arm go and bring down the appropriate drawer to show the pharmacist in order to fill your prescription. That used to be done by a human being. It's not anymore. Things keep changing, and we need to change with it. We need to advance more. We need to do more. We need to be more business friendly. There's so many things to work on, and I got a president who's all over the place. God, I mean, this just makes me sick. It's all over the place for wanting to regulate Google. You need to regulate Google.
If I ever got impeached, I think everybody would be very poor.
Yeah. Has he read a newspaper? I mean,
Fred,
50% of the poverty people are already poor because they can't make enough money for the basics. There's a roof over their head, pay the electric bill, the heat bill, the grocery bill, the car insurance, the car payment, all just the basic, absolute basic, normal stuff and 50% of the American populace can't do that. You tell me that's a winning economy? I think you have a really warped sense of reality and what should be a good economy.
Fred says, just pointing out, we had a surplus and no wars with the and the best economy under Clinton. No, that's true. I mean, times were good. The 90s were a very good time in a lot of ways.
Oh, give me a break. Show me a president who hasn't launched something.
I mean, there was
Show me
action
one.
in Kosovo, but I mean, as far as any kind of large-scale war, I mean, Clinton wasn't. I mean, we had a peace dividend. I mean, it was it was pretty. Things were pretty stable in terms of that under Clinton. I mean, we didn't get.
Clinton was in office for the first Iraq War.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No, that was George H.W. Bush.
No, he was the second one.
No, the second one was George W. Bush. George H.W. Bush was the first Gulf War.
No, that's the third one.
Huh?
I don't know. There's been so many. Operation Freedom, Operation this, Operation that.
Yeah, the first Gulf War was George H.W. Bush, and the second one was George W. Bush. Clinton didn't start any wars in the Middle East.
Did we get out of anything? No. Have we gotten out of any since? No. Do we still have troops all over the place over there? Yes.
Yeah, Fred was just making the point that we didn't get into any wars under Clinton, and he's right. One soldier killed under Clinton is what Fred says.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive. All right, that's impressive.
It is, yeah. Clinton was, even a lot of Republicans will acknowledge Clinton was in combat. Fred's just clarifying. Yeah, of course. No, I mean, Clinton was a highly effective president in many ways. We should get into this a little bit. Colorado continues to be a debate among, those who are pro-cannabis legalization and or decriminalization versus those who oppose it. And, of course, everyone uses Colorado as an example for their argument. Folks like me who are anti-drug war like to point out the positives of what's happened in Colorado, and those who oppose legalization or decriminalization talk about Colorado as though it's descended into some sort of post-apocalyptic hellscape, which I don't believe is accurate. But this is from Reason.com.
Didn't they say the same thing would occur in any state that passed medicinal cannabis?
Oh, of course,
That was for patients only?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So this is from Reason.com. Cannabis-involved traffic fatalities are down in Colorado. The figure refers to crashes in which a driver exceeded the threshold at which state law presumes impairment. So this is from the article. The number of traffic deaths involving drivers who tested positive for cannabis rose by 11% last year in Colorado, while the number of, and that, by the way, that first part of information is the one that the anti-legalization people use. But then here's the second part. The number of cannabis-involved fatalities actually fell by 33%. The divergence between these two trends illustrates the difficulty of ascribing crashes to cannabis intoxication, which complicates the question of how legalization has affected road safety in Colorado, the state with the longest history of state-licensed recreational sales. According to a new report from the Colorado Department of Transportation, the number of fatal crashes in which a driver tested positive for cannabis rose from 75 in 2014, when legal recreational sales began, to 98 in 2015, 125 in 2016, and 139 last year. But, as CDOT notes, quote, the presence of a cannabinoid does not necessarily indicate recent use of marijuana or impairment, unquote. In light of that limitation, CDOT since 2014 also has reported the number of fatalities and crashes where a driver's THC blood concentration was 5 nanograms per milliliter or more, which is the level at which state law allows juries to presume impairment. That number, which CDOT calls cannabis-involved fatalities, was 19 in 2014 and 2015, then rose to 52 in 2016 before falling to 35 last year. While the narrower measure gets closer to the issue of concern, many regular cannabis consumers are perfectly capable of safely operating a motor vehicle at 5 nanograms. More generally, there is little scientific basis for defining marijuana impairment based on THC blood levels. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration notes, quote, whereas the impairment effects for various concentration levels of alcohol in the blood or breath are well understood, there is little evidence available to link concentrations of other drugs to driver performance. Hence, specific drug concentration levels cannot be reliably equated with a specific degree of driver impairment, unquote. Or, as the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety put it in a 2016 report, quote, a quantitative threshold for per se laws for THC following cannabis use cannot be scientifically supported, unquote. The upshot is that, just as, quote, marijuana-related crashes, where a driver has consumed cannabis at some point, possible days or even weeks earlier, may be unrelated to marijuana, cannabis-involved crashes, where a driver tests at or above 5 nanograms, may not involve cannabis in any casual sense. That uncertainty makes it hard to say whether legalization has led to a surge in dangerously stoned drivers. Another complication is the potential substitution of marijuana for alcohol, which has a much more dramatic impact on driving ability. If an increase in stoned drivers were accompanied by a decrease in drunk drivers, the result could be a net decrease in traffic fatalities. So far, that does not seem to be happening in Colorado, where traffic fatalities involving drivers who had blood alcohol concentrations of 0.08% or more, the legal cutoff for driving under the influence, rose from 160 in 2014 to 171 last year, a period where total fatalities rose from 488 to 648. Can that overall increase be pinned on marijuana legalization? Probably not, since traffic deaths have been rising nationwide in recent years, and they began rising in Colorado before legalization took effect. So there you go. So that's good to see.
And if that be the case, then you would have seen numbers increase in the other states that have passed legalization or decriminalization. You would see an elevation in their numbers. But you're not. You're seeing a decrease in their numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look around and look at Massachusetts and look at Vermont. And pretty soon we're going to be able to look to the entire nation of Canada. And right now the American government is stupidly going, well, if you're Canadian and you admit to using cannabis, you cannot come across the border. Yes, let's hurt tourism, because that's what we need in our nation, not...
Says who?
Says me. You and that button. I'm going to come over there. I'm going to take that button, and I'm going to shove it...
When did they flip you?
You know
me.
where?
Don't lie.
No, you ain't. No, you ain't.
What's the matter?
You. What's the matter is you.
Oh, my goodness. There's some news, by the way, about the Connors, the new Roseanne spinoff.
I am very happy. Because you know why? You know why I'm happy?
Why?
I'm happy because of how they're going to get rid of her.
Yeah, well, John Goodman has all but confirmed, and this is the news, although I think we kind of assumed this. Salon.com reports that he has said that not only has he confirmed that the Connors is definitely moving forward without Roseanne, but that her character will likely be dead in the new series. Says here, when ABC announced, I'm reading this from Salon.com, and these ads keep popping up.
And I'll say, to not sound like I'm like some twisted individual, I'm happy that her character is being killed off. No way to come back. No return to collect 200 as you pass go. Go directly to jail. You're done. You're over with. We're done with you. We're dropping your name. We're dropping everything. And I think it's funny as heck that, and I want to know who was eavesdropping when we were talking about this, and we said they should just kill her off and restart the series as the Connors. We did say that.
Yeah, well, there's precedent for it. That's what they did when Valerie Harper had her contract dispute, and they killed. That was back in the '80s. But then they killed off her character, and
You're such a straight guy.
Valerie became the Hogan family. What's that?
You don't feel like we should be compensated for coming up with the idea too?
I do, but I don't know. I'll send someone in Hollywood an invoice, I guess. Maybe ABC. It says here, when ABC announced the Roseanne spinoff, it was clear that the show was meant to capitalize off the popularity of the original series and the reboot, minus original star Roseanne Barr, whose racist tweets led to the premature ending of ABC's successful revival. But it was less clear how the network planned to handle the absence of the family's matriarch from its spinoff. In a profile published in UK's Times Sunday, John Goodman, who plays Dan Connor, seemed to reveal the fate of Roseanne as he told the news outlet that his character will be, quote, mopey and sad because his wife's dead, unquote. In May, ABC fired Barr and canceled her namesake show after she posted a racist tweet about former Obama aide Valerie Jarrett, who is African-American. So we all know about that already, and Barr is, of course, she's going to be on, I think she's going to be on the Joe Rogan show, Joe Rogan's podcast soon. That'll be really interesting.
He doesn't really hold back punches. He'll ask hard questions. I like him.
Yeah. So the rest of I'm not going to read the rest of this from Salon because it's kind of a recap of everything that happened and we already know. But yeah, John Goodman does confirm that Roseanne will be dead.
Yep.
Bye-bye, Roseanne.
Can't come back. Bye-bye.
That's right. Yes.
See you later.
Hello to Matt DaCosta, who joins us in
I love
the
people
Facebook
who
live
think they're
chat.
all that in a bag of chips, and then somebody goes, "No, you're not."
Well, she's got some issues. I mean, she's
Some.
you know, like I said when this first happened, the psychology of it is fascinating to me. You know, what is it that causes someone to self-destruct in that way? Because you know, anyone who was thinking rationally would know that what she was tweeting was going to destroy her career. You know. But let's.
I don't. Not necessarily. Not. We live in Trumpville. You know, there's some people that are going to go along with her.
Yeah, I think any rational person would know, though. Oh, I
You're
see.
assuming that rational people were the ones that are listening to her.
Yeah. The People's Mayor, Glenn R.J. Willett, is here, but let's take a quick break because we're getting to the top of the hour. We'll play a song. Here's something for Roseanne. This is Louis Armstrong, a little song called "I'll Be Glad When You're Dead, You Rascal You." So very appropriate for the character of Roseanne Connor. And then, so we'll play that. We'll take a little break.
Celebrate the demise of her character.
Yes. And then we'll be back with more Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon, and we'll be joined in studio by the People's Mayor, Glenn R.J. Willett.
Boy, you know one thing? You ain't no good at all. You've been laughing and grinning in my face, eating up all my stuff to eat, trying to bite me in the back for my wife, you old rascal, you. You wait a minute, I gotta tell you something. Now, I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. Now, I brought you into my home, you wouldn't leave my wife alone. I'll be glad for you. Now, I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. I'll be tickled to death when you leave this earth, you dog. I took you for my friend, and you tried to drink up all my gin. You rascal. As I said before, I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. When you laid 6 feet deep, no more fried chicken will you eat. I know that'll break your heart. You love chicken, you. I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. I'll be glad when you're dead, you rascal, you. You asked my wife for some cabbage, and you ate just like a savage, you old rascal, you. Look here, boy. You know one thing? What's that? I said, do you know one thing? I know 2 things. All right, then. Now, I'll be glad when when you're dead to right for you. I'll be glad when you're dead to right for you. I'll be standing on the corner elevated when they bring your body dilapidated. You dogs.
I want 6 kids and a double wide, a good wife and a woman on the side in my white trash paradise. I want a garden with onions, carrots and beans, with a few back issues of Hustler magazine for my white trash paradise. I want to spend my nights drinking Schaefer Light and smoking cheap cigarettes. I want a waterbed to rest my head and a pit bull for my pet. I want to set a couch out by the road, sell skunk weed and call it gold at my white trash paradise. I want a 69 Chevelle just sitting on blocks among 27 pins where I keep my cocks in my white trash paradise. I want to say to Madre, to the neighborhood, you know it makes them mad to see me living so good in my white trash paradise. I want to spend my nights drinking Schaefer Light and smoking cheap cigarettes. I want a waterbed to rest my head and a pit bull for my pet. I want to ride welfare till the well runs dry, buy everything that Walmart can supply to my white trash paradise. It's my white trash paradise.
I said, what kind of a man is this?
Hey everybody, it's hour number 2, Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. 603-250-6007 is the number to call. 603-250-6007. Jenny is here. And we've also been joined by the People's Mayor, Glenn R.J. Willett.
Qui c'est ça? Who's that?
What?
Qui c'est ça?
Qui c'est ça?
Means who's that?
Oh, what is that like?
Which language are we?
That was French.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
All right. So what's new with you, Glenn R.J. Willett? Are you still...
I got a phone call yesterday from Japan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say from Africa.
No, from Japan, and I outsmarted them. I clicked on my app for the translation right away.
Yes.
And I understood everything they said, and then I spoke back to them in English, but I translated it in their language, and they said, You understood every word I said? And they hung up.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But you do get calls from Africa, right?
Well, I get calls from around the world. I get about average of 10 calls a day.
Well, I'm
Outside
referring
the
to
country.
your political career. You've been very coy about
I
it.
don't have a political career. What are you talking about?
Aren't you running for mayor of Africa?
And not running for mayor of anything.
Yeah, that's right. And what is this about me not being able to do your wedding?
What wedding?
You getting married and
Who's
me
getting married?
Yeah, you're supposed to get married and I
I'm
wasn't
supposed
asked to.
Under whose order?
I heard that on Pete, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought we lived in America.
Wasn't it on
where
the morning
you weren't,
show?
You weren't ordered to get married.
Oh, my
The
goodness.
morning
It was a
show that I
volunteer thing
heard
because you
that?
fell in love with someone.
No, we have arranged marriages now. It's a new
well,
thing.
you know what? I don't believe in arranged marriages. Sorry.
All right.
I thought I heard Pete say that.
He did.
Yeah. Well, I'm offended.
Why are you offended? Because I'm not
Because
getting
I want
married
to
right
do the
now.
wedding.
You see a wedding ring on my hands? No.
Well, that doesn't mean you're the one that gave the engagement ring. I mean, how do I know that?
If I get married down the road and I want the public to know, I will let the public know.
What about Egypt? Have you considered running for mayor of Egypt?
Oh, come on. Stop it.
That goes back to the Egyptian times.
I think you would be a phenomenal mayor of Egypt.
Yeah. Why don't you
What
get
about
Julie?
Kuta?
Why don't you get Giuliani run for
I know.
the Egyptian?
Oh, well.
mayor?
We gotta do is trace
See
his
if he'll
DNA
survive.
so we can trace him back to the United Arab Emirates.
I'm not an Arab, but there's nothing wrong with being an Arab. But I'm not an Arab. I'm French.
And
Truth isn't truth.
oh yeah,
Well-
that sounds like Giuliani.
Yes.
And
so far
did
as
you
you
see-
know, you're French, but you don't know what else you could be.
Did you? Oh, I know what I
You
am.
could be all
I'm-
kinds of
I'm
things.
48% Canadian French. I'm 48%.
Did you do a test?
Yeah, I did the.
Did you?
Yes, I'm 48% Canadian French. I'm 48% Acadian French, and I'm 4% Indian. That's it. That's all I have in my blood.
Wow. All right.
What kind of Indian?
They came from Quebec, so I guess they were French too. I'm as French as they come.
Wow.
Well, no, I am part of my DNA came back with part of a native tribe called the Yukut, which was a native tribe in Europe, Eastern Europe.
These were Indians in the province of Quebec, and that was many 100 years ago. I mean, when the Indians were really.
It's been really wild doing that whole thing and
It is, isn't
finding out. Yeah, my son
It's-
just goes,
it's
"We're
fun,
mutts.
though.
We're
It's
just
fun, though.
mutts."
It's, you'd be surprised because, no offense here, guys, because I didn't make it up, but the ancestry people, if your name is Thériault, which is Thériault in French, it's actually a word derived from the French, and they turned it to English as they always do. And it means, in French, Thériault means dirt and water. And what does that make? Mud.
So the next time I see Ross Terrio, I can tell him his name is Mud. Is that where you're going with that?
No.
No, wait, you could play
I
that
didn't particularly-
song for him
I didn't
for an
particularly-
intro.
That's right.
My name is Mud.
Primus, yes.
I didn't particularly pick
Yeah,
anyone. I'm
Primus.
just saying what the facts are.
Yes.
It's like Roy is Edouard. It was a French name, and they made
Says
Roy
who?
out of it. Says who? Said Roy.
Okay. All right. Now,
Now, Willette
yes.
does not mean toilette.
I didn't think it did.
Well,
But
how
the-
do you explain me having
An
French?
ex-governor of New York, actually, it was a Rockefeller. Remember Rockefeller, Governor
Of
Rockefeller?
course, yes.
I had written to him
Been in his house.
when I was in junior high school for something, and he responded back, and he addressed it with a D, Dualet, which doesn't mean anything. But then he said it in the letter. He says, I didn't know if I should spell it with a T or a D, and so I actually wrote him back and saying, no, I don't come from a toilet.
Oh, my goodness.
That's terrible.
Glenn, you're a public figure. How do you feel you've been treated by Google?
Google? I
Yes.
don't like
Yes.
Google. First of all, you
Do you
both have-
believe that there is
you-
a Google conspiracy against you?
No, I don't say that.
Oh.
I'm not saying
Do
that.
you believe
Do you-
Google makes you look bad on purpose?
Google doesn't make. Why do I think Google? Who's making me look bad?
Well, Google
Well,
makes the president look bad
That's right.
intentionally.
You
That's
think,
right.
You think
He
they do it
believes that we need to
intentionally?
have.
He
yes,
thinks so.
Yes, he twittered that we need to have regulations on Google to prevent them from being biased. and
Oh,
fake
that's
news.
why Google don't like him, huh?
Yes.
Apparently.
Apparently. Google.
Apparently, the
We all
analytics
have
have
a phone.
absolutely
We all have a
no
computer
play
at
at
the house.
all.
Do you pay $19.99 a year to get Google on your computer?
No.
Well, they sent me a bill that I sent them a letter saying, since when? And I haven't gotten a response yet. I'm not. And today I got...
That's called a scam.
I know it is. Today I got an email that my subscription ends at the end of the month, so let it end because you know what? I never had a subscription.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that, especially this time of year. We're getting towards the end of the year. There's usually an uptick of that kind of scamming going on. You know,
what I like about my phone is
if it doesn't, if it
catches a
seems
lot
too
of them.
good to be true, it probably is. But if you really think it's real, you know, bring it down to your police station or have
That's
somebody help
exactly
you check
what I've
it
done
out.
in the past, and we've caught some people doing that.
Don't give people money just because they say that they do something or they say that they represent something.
I agree. But my phone is a smartphone, and when I get a call and the call says the number's there, but on top it says probably scam, I don't answer.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
A couple of times I did to verify that they were right, and they were right. So the phone tells me there's a scam. I'm not answering.
For the most part, when it says robocaller, you got to be careful because that can be a doctor's office. I learned that one because one of my doctors, when they call, it shows up as robocaller, but it's actually the doctor's office. So it's obviously a call I want to take.
Or if the phone call says 0000 for a number, it doesn't exist. You don't answer that.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Because you can't call it back.
The way I look at the world is if I don't know you and I have no memory of, which of course, you know, that's a problem for me is my memory. If I can't remember who you are when it shows up on search, it goes to voicemail.
Yeah.
And if it's important, leave me a message.
You call back.
But if it's not important and you don't leave me a message, I'm not calling you back.
And more often than not, they will not leave you a message because they're not interested in talking to us anyway.
And if they don't leave me a message and they call me more than once, I hit the block button and then that number can't call me no more. Because I don't want to be bothered with it. Either leave me a message and we chat, or, you know, grow a pair and walk away.
And the other thing that I don't like, and I rarely answer unless I'm expecting a call, and then if it says private number, if you can't give me your number, you're not interested in talking to me. I need to know who I'm talking to.
Well, they are interested in talking to you, Glenn R.J. Willett.
Well, I'm not interested in talking to someone
but you're
that I
not
don't
interested
know.
in talking to
But
them.
maybe they don't want you to be able to call them.
That's right. Then they don't need to talk to me then.
Yes.
What if there's somebody that you have asked a question of, and they do wish to answer it, but they do not wish to divulge their private number?
Oh, well, then that's their private. That's their prerogative, but it's also my prerogative to answer the calls that I want and not answer the ones that I don't feel comfortable with. If I don't know who's calling me, I don't necessarily...
Are you being biased, sir?
No, I'm not being biased.
I believe you're being biased.
In this day and age, you should be able...
Terribly biased.
No, not biased.
Oh, it's
in this
terrible.
day and age, there's too much scams out there, and you should be careful how you answer your phone.
I agree.
I think it's more fun to answer the phone and have fun with them.
I tell you what is fun.
It's a lot of fun to like have fun with them while they're on the phone.
I do that sometimes. When the New York Federal Reserve says they're calling you, and they call you 3 times in 2 months, and they say if you give them a $200 gift card, they'll give you $8,000. Then 2 weeks later, it's at $8,800 for $200. Now it's up to $9,000. So what I've done is I've given it to our Attorney General, and he contacted the New York the New York Federal Reserve, and we all know it's a scam. But the point is, they had a number. So the last time they called, I asked for the name. They gave me a name, and they even gave me an extension number. So I brought it to the police department, and we called. And the guy answered and gave him his name, and it was his extension. I love it. Talk about getting caught.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Some of these crooks are not very smart.
That's right. Hello to Derek Evan Relaford, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Hello, Eric.
No, Derek.
Derek.
Hello.
Derek.
Yes. My goodness, Glenn R.J.
Derek.
Willett, please. Apparently, by the way, you had mentioned that you actually, as well, a song was playing, you had mentioned Trump addressing the evangelicals last night.
Yeah.
According to thehill.com, he warned them that if Republicans lose in this year's midterms, liberals will violently overturn his administration's accomplishments for the Christian community.
Oh, what accomplishments?
Violently. Here's what he said, quote, "This November 6th election is very much a referendum on not only me, it's a referendum on your religion.
No,
it's a referendum on free speech and the First Amendment," unquote.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
No, wait a minute. Stop right there. You
Wait a
know
minute,
what?
whose
Isn't he the
religion?
one? Isn't
Which
he the one?
religion?
Isn't
What
he the one a couple weeks
religion?
ago when the white supremacists were in Washington and there were some protesters against them? And he said, I don't like anybody protesting. Isn't that the First Amendment?
Of course.
So how can he turn
Well, he
around
also
as a hypocrite?
said there were good people on both sides.
Yeah, really, yeah? Excuse me, what?
Really? Really?
Where does he come from?
Show me a good white supremacist, would you? Because I've never seen one, and it must be rare. So
He must be a two-sided person,
I want
right?
to see. I want to see what they look like. I would love every person who claims to be a white supremacist to take a DNA test. That is my world dream.
Is there such a proof
to
of that?
give them purity tests to see what they really are.
Is there a purity test, though?
The claim is that to be white, you need to be Eastern European, right?
Yeah, I heard that
Okay.
before, yeah.
Well, I'm 98% Eastern European, so tell me why I'm not white.
Is France considered European, Eastern European?
Yeah.
Okay, so my family normally comes from Normandy back in the 1400s, so that's, yeah.
I got Netherlands. I've got
But you know what? I'm not a supremacist.
Italian.
Sorry, I will never claim that. I don't believe in that.
I got a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, my son says we're mutts.
You know, I love the last vote that Senator McCain did. He just went there after he got there was something wrong with his eye, his eyelash, and he had to have it was a tumor, so he had to get removed.
Well, yeah, because of the brain cancer.
Yeah,
he
and
had
so
to
he
have
got
surgery.
it sewn up, and then he flew. He was told not to fly, but he flew to Washington, and he went and he just went thumbs down, and they actually went,
Yeah.
ooh.
We
Like,
talked about that yesterday on the show when
Yeah.
Dr. Cassell called in, how dramatic that moment was.
Like,
yes,
love him
because
or hate
you could
him,
actually
but
heard them go, ooh, he actually did it.
oh, yeah.
you mean love him or hate him? He is a permanent place in history.
And he stood for what he believed in.
Absolutely.
And we don't have many of those
Absolutely.
people living today. I mean,
We
we need
don't.
more.
We don't.
I'm talking about leaders. We have a lot of Americans that stand up for what they believe in, but we have too many that are our
We
leaders
get a lot
that
of
don't.
people that'll armchair it, but they won't actually do something about it.
Yeah, they say it in private, but when it comes to do it in
Private,
public, they
nothing.
go,
They're all over social media, left and right. They'll express their opinion all over the place on social media, but they won't actually get out of their chair and go do something about it. Tell somebody go do something about it, and they look at you like you got 16 heads.
hey, have you read the farewell letter that Senator McCain
We
wrote?
did.
I read that on the air yesterday. Yeah, it was very beautiful.
You know, that is so inspiring. That really tells me what kind of a man he was. He was true to himself. And like you said, hate him or like or love him, he did what he thought was right, and he never made an excuse for it. He believed in what he believed in, and he fought for what he believed in. And that's what we need here in America and around the world, for that matter.
Well, I mean, but the problem is we don't have that in America. The majority of America is ruled by who can give the biggest check. What pharmaceutical company can give the biggest check to keep that state from going decrim or legalization or enhancing medicinal cannabis, because they're losing that battle in just a mere month and a half or so.
Well, at least in New Hampshire they are.
At least in a month or so, the entire country of Canada becomes legal. Maine is legal. Massachusetts is legal. Vermont
Vermont's in the
is
process,
legal.
yeah.
Colorado is legal.
Yeah.
California is legal.
The state
New
of
Mexico
Washington.
is legal. The district of Washington D.C., where the laws are made and upheld, is legal. Explain to me that. Explain to me that where the seat of the federal government is,
It's because
it's perfectly legal.
It's because the big wigs need their pot, but they don't want us small people to have our
I
share.
really, really wish you would use that word, because
What?
because
What word?
pot. there's people out
marijuana
there
is called
that
pot. It's
there's
a nickname.
people out there that want to keep that negative connotation, and words like pot and marijuana were developed in order to create a negative connotation to get away from using words like cannabis, which is what the ingredient used to be in some medications, and to get you to not think about it in the sense of a plant-based medicine. Just like we used to think of, what was that one? There was a medication they developed for women who had urinary issues or menopausal issues, and it was actually derived from horse urine.
I think I heard about that.
That was legal.
People need to chill out. To be honest about it, when it comes
more cannabis.
to cannabis or marijuana or pot, whatever you want to call it, when they make the oil, I've seen a child who's 3 years old, who's now 6 years old, and if she wouldn't have taken that cannabis oil, she'd be dead. She was having these seizures every single hour. It was destroying her brain.
Oh, yes.
It saved her. So I think we should do a little less about, there are some drugs. There's a reason for drugs. It's like anything else. If you take something and you abuse it, it's bad. But when you use it for medical reasons to save someone's life, come on, don't tell me you can't do that.
I get a kick out of it because I've admitted, that I've come out of the closet that I'm a cannabis patient legally in my state. But it's like a marker on you. Oh, you must be some kind of drug seeker or something like that. It's like, no, you guys have actually almost killed me 4 times with chemicals. And this plant-based thing has not done that to me. And I trust it more. And that's the truth. That is the absolute truth. There have been 4 documented incidents, 2 that actually happened in hospital, where I was literally brought to an over-medicated point of, we need help in here, kind of a thing. And that's pretty much where I drew the line and said, a lot of the medications that you're trying to get me to take are hardcore, horrible, and
what's in them, right?
Oh, some
chemicals.
of them
oh my God,
are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
When they
horrible.
advertise, it gets me when they advertise on TV a drug for medication, and they list like 105 side effects. Why would I want to take that?
Well, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because if one person out of 100 gets a headache, they got to say headache is listed as a possible side
But some of the
effect.
side effects are not small things.
What,
Could give
like
you a heart
cancer?
attack. Could give you cancer. It could kill you on the spot.
Lymphoma.
Well, there's the antidepressant where they tell you at the end that one of the side effects is suicidal ideations, which really seems to defeat the purpose of taking an antidepressant.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You're so right on that.
The smoking drug, the quit smoking drug that was Chantix, that was the miracle cure to everybody who ever smoked, until they figured out that some people, it made them psychotic and they killed themselves or others.
Anthony Bourdain, that's one of the theories about why he committed suicide, was he had started taking Chantix. Hey, I want to go back, though, to this thing with Trump talking to the evangelicals, because I found something here really funny. The evangelicals love Trump so much that he can violate one of the 10 commandments in front of them, and they're just fine with it. Trump bore false witness.
See, that really bothers me.
While talking to the evangelicals.
It's more important that they follow their morals. Yeah, they're not doing it.
No, they don't care. They see a rich guy in a $10,000 suit and they love him.
Yeah, we can abide by him fooling around with other women or whatever else he does. It's against their morals, but we can abide by that as long as he passes this, and that. I said, wow. So you're buying your way in.
Well, here's what he said. This is from thehill.com. It says, Trump last night falsely told evangelical leaders that he got rid of the Johnson Amendment, a law that prohibits churches from endorsing political candidates.
Really?
Here's what he said, quote, now, one of the things I'm most proud of is getting rid of the Johnson Amendment. That was a disaster for you, unquote. But the law actually remains in place after an attempt to kill it last year was unsuccessful. A version of the House Republican tax bill released last November would have allowed churches to endorse political candidates, rolling back the provision inserted into the law by then Senator Lyndon Johnson Democrat of Texas, back in 1954. The repeal of the amendment was removed from the final version of the GOP tax cut bill. Trump did, however, sign an executive order in May of last year meant to ease enforcement of the amendment. Trump railed against the law while on the campaign trail, vowing to repeal it and saying he would give churches their voice back. Trump said back in 2016, the first thing we have to do is to give our churches their voice back. The Johnson Amendment has blocked our pastors from speaking their minds from their own pulpit.
Well, listen, I'm very religious, but you know what? I do not. A church has a right, the right of religion. I believe in that, but you know what? You don't sell your for example, this new thing about child abuse again in religion. It's been 10 years.
Well, it's not a new thing.
Well, but it's been 10 years since they claimed they resolved it, but the truth is they only resolved it amongst the priests. They didn't resolve it amongst the hierarchies that were preventing it by streaming them to other churches. So the kids really didn't care. They didn't really care about the kids, did they?
No,
they really didn't.
Not.
So where's religion going when we hear this stuff?
That's one particular religion specifically.
Listen,
you're talking about.
Yeah,
over
no,
there.
I'm not talking about one religion. Okay, there are other
that's
religions.
That's what's been all over the
yes,
news.
But there are
that
other,
particular religion.
There are other religions that do that as well.
That is widespread.
It's not the only
all
one.
faith.
Sorry to say, I mean,
it is not the only one.
No,
but
it's
it
not.
is not to say that it is widespread. Don't make it sound like it is wide. I don't believe that it is widespread.
It's not as widespread as it
all
was.
religion.
But when you
I
hear,
believe that one particular religion has a very long, hard history of proving they got an issue.
It's because the hierarchy has been hiding them.
It's because they don't let them get married.
That's true. And you know what? The apostles were allowed to do that.
They don't let them have a normal life.
Are you and your Egyptians?
That goes back to
I like
the
Egyptians, but
it does go back to that because
Yes.
Moses came
That's
down.
where it started, the Egyptians.
That's right, and you're not supposed.
That's why I want Glenn to be mayor of Egypt.
You're supposed
No, I don't
to,
think so.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Why not?
politician.
Well, yeah, you called yourself the people's mayor.
I don't call
Manchester for a
myself that.
while.
I was nicknamed that by the people. I didn't choose that.
Well, you allow it. You allow it.
That's true.
It's
You
not
allow it.
It's not offending. It's because of what it means behind it.
You allow it.
I
what
allow
excuse
it.
are you going to come up with for allowing it?
I allow it. It's not an excuse.
It
I,
is
No,
too.
it's not. I
It is
allow
too.
it because what they're saying it for is because I speak my piece and I'm not afraid and I fight for what I believe in. That's why they did that.
No, they didn't.
No, what did they do it for? For the heck of it?
Funny.
It's funny? I don't think it's funny.
I think it's funny.
I don't think it's funny.
I think it's funny. Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not political.
What's that?
People's mayor? It is
That
political.
goes back to the Egyptian times.
Funny.
That's funny.
Yes. Are you going to audition to be Peter's new co-host?
No.
Okay. Just wondering. Well, I mean, since you're not going to run for mayor of Egypt, like we said you should.
If I auditioned, that robe thing would be exploded all over the place.
The robe
The
thing
robe
would be
thing
exploded all over?
that doesn't exist.
What robe thing?
The robe.
Robegate. The political
Yeah.
scandal that caused
That
Glenn
doesn't-
the mayorship of
No,
Manchester.
it did not. The robe gate doesn't even exist.
You're wearing a robe with something? Do
No,
I want
no,
to hear
no,
about
no.
this? I don't know.
You haven't heard about it?
No, I don't want to hear
It
about
was
it.
nothing. I was in a hotel. It's nothing.
I don't want to know.
So it's
you
funny
in
how-
a hotel with the robe so far. I
No,
don't wanna
no.
know.
It's nothing like that at all. They claimed
Well,
that I
it
asked for a
is.
robe and I never returned it. And they found the two robes in the bathrooms. Well, you know what? The police department says that's not true. They were never found because they don't exist. So
Wait a minute.
what comes around goes around. So there's a hotel that's opening in the city pretty shortly, and I'm in the process of getting that person a robe.
You are getting sued over a robe?
I'm not getting sued.
You
Who
got
said-
accused of stealing a robe?
No, it's a radio thing. It's
The
a comedy
police?
thing. Not
The
the
police were involved?
No, they were not involved. That's
You
the
said
whole
the
point.
police were involved.
They said the police
You said
found
the police
them,
were
but
involved
they did
and
not
they found
them.
them, and
See,
then so you stole them.
that's how things get started. I
See,
sold
you,
them,
you stole them.
and I put them in the closed bathroom that belongs to the city.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
How did I get in?
He said,
Because
"What
you have
kind
a
of a
key.
man is
You're
this?"
the people's mayor.
Oh my God! I don't have a key to this city.
Oh, we know that Gassis gave you one when he was in office.
No, he did not.
By the way, Fred is pointing out that that was not McCain's thumbs down vote on the ACA repeal was not his last vote, because that was back in July
Did he
of
vote another one?
2017.
Did he vote again?
His last actual vote was on December 7th of 2018. It was yeah.
Okay, I stand to be corrected.
So that wasn't his.
But that was probably his last
vote.
important vote.
Well, it was certainly the most dramatic.
Yeah.
Him walking up to the well there and doing the thumbs down
and then going, ooh.
Yeah.
That's so dramatic when you hear that.
McConnell looking down, downtrodden.
On, don't speak ill of the dead. It bugs
I'm
the crap
not.
out of me.
Nobody's speaking. Who said anything ill?
I respect him for what he did. He did what he thought was right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't agree with a lot of his politics, but I respect the man for who he was and what he did.
By the way, we now, even in New Hampshire, we're seeing small hospitals being closed because of the change in the insurance policies again. We're going backwards, not forward. And the policies are going up. Next year, they'll actually be more expensive to get your policy than Obamacare was. So, I mean, I'm not a big...
And we're still not fixing the problem.
No, we're
we
not.
still have people who are out there that are on Medicare that can't get a policy, that can only get a supplemental.
Whatever happened to Trump
God
care?
forbid, they end up in a hospital, they end up with $400 a night.
Whatever happened to Trump care? It never passed, did it?
Someday it will. And we're gonna have
someday it will.
We're gonna have great health care.
Nothing
It's gonna be
has
huge.
gone through.
It's gonna be very
Nothing has gone
successful.
through.
Nothing's gone.
In fact, all they've done is knee-jerk reaction legislation on the opioid crisis without paying attention to what they were doing to chronic illness crises.
That's correct.
So there are some
Says who?
states where they've actually passed laws where cancer patients who are terminal have to have their scripts filled every 14 days. Because we need another problem to put on this family who's watching their loved one die. There are people like in the organizations. I'm a part of a lot of breast cancer groups for obvious reasons and different cancer groups. And one of them, we put out there information on post-mastectomy pain syndrome. And there's over 20 some odd different names for it under the government, code book.
Mm-hmm.
So some doctors don't know anything about it or know very little about it or show no interest in learning about it. And they basically brush their patients off and say, well, we'll just do this and that's that. And they don't actually investigate or learn. I got to say, the best doctor I ever had was a doctor who, unfortunately, their own mother was a breast cancer patient who ended up with PMPS. And they took, I have to say, the best care of me. And I hate to say it because they had personal experience of watching their own mother go through breast cancer and go through having this diagnosis after the cancer. You survive the cancer, but in the end of it all, you end up with this permanent injury or traumatic injuries that they can't fix. They don't know why. They don't know how to fix it. They know how to try and treat symptoms.
That's right.
But that's about it.
I have always said
and there's
that if you...
no money put into any kind of research. What research there is out there is disgusting. You look in Scotland and you compare it to a study coming out of Harvard on the same exact topic that I'm talking about, post-mastectomy pain syndrome, and you will find that Harvard claims 1% of breast cancer patients get this. Scotland says 40% of breast cancer patients come out with this. Cornell came out that they were at 20%. But the bottom line, the every single one of these things, and I've read studies from Australia, from Scotland, from Canada, all over, they all have the exact same ending. And that ending is the same, and you can insert multiple diseases into it, and that is, we don't know why it happens, we don't know how to cure it, we only know how to treat the symptoms, and nobody necessarily gets, there's no cure-all for breast cancer. There are multiple forms of breast cancer. What kind of cancer do you have? What kind of receptors does it have? There's a lot of things that come into play to that. There are 200 different forms. Don't give me, I have a cure-all for cancer, because that doesn't exist.
I've always said that until you take out the political part, the politics of issues, you'll never solve the issues. There's always someone...
But Trump's not keeping his promises. Trump promised that no one would ever be turned down for having a pre-existing condition.
And
I'm sitting here right in front of you, and Mutual of Omaha turned me down for having been diagnosed with and treated for cancer
Because
within the
he
last
has allowed
5
it.
years.
Congress has allowed it all. of a
Period.
sudden. Yep.
Because it's a Medicare product, and Medicare products are exempt from that law, and nothing has been done to change that. Healthcare is getting worse. Access is getting worse. The money that's paid to our providers is sickening. It's sickening. You're giving them, $1 for something that costs $20, and then we're gonna in some states tax you on top of that all. So the hospital's getting taxed. They're getting stuck with bills. They're doing the best they can to try and keep their head above water, and they cannot look at somebody and say, "I'm sorry, that's not an emergency. We can't treat you."
And now we have small hospitals that are closing because they can't take it. We can't go back. We've gone back. We had a system that was working. It may not have been the best, and they probably should have taken the Obama bill, which is so big and bigger than a book, and go through all the issues and get rid of what didn't make sense and add what made sense and fix the things that can be fixed. Instead, they abolished it. And that's not how we fix problems. You don't
They
start.
didn't abolish it.
It's pretty much been
Bill,
abolished.
they abolished the mandate, which still affects people from 2016 tax season. I think it's 2017 forward. It doesn't affect anymore, if I'm right. Am I right on that one, Matt?
Yeah, I think so.
What the tax implication is? They got rid of that.
It's the same thing as a tax cut.
But
They
that's all
claim
they get rid of. So
they said
what?
it was going to affect a lot of the middle class. 5% have been effective. So how does that help the middle class? They work hard, but they're not getting their fair share. In fact, they were saying the other day on TV, and this was a survey, that since 1979, the average increase has gone up about $200 for income. So how does that par with today's values? It doesn't. It just doesn't. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The rich pay less taxes and the poor pay more. That's how it works. Sadly to say.
Yes. I wanted to move on to this Twitter story because I'm really kind of surprised that that Twitter is handling this or not handling it the way they are. I don't know if you heard about this, but Dana Loesch, who's from the NRA, and I wasn't even aware of her until the last the mass shooting where she went and participated in that big forum they had in Florida with Senators Rubio and Nelson were there and some other folks. But she kind of became the face of the NRA at that time, and people have been threatening her children on Twitter. And surprisingly, Twitter hasn't really done much about it, and I'm really kind of shocked by it. This is from Mediaite. A Twitter user says Dana Loesch's kids need to be murdered, and the company responds by doing almost nothing.
Uncalled for.
Yeah, but I'm just surprised at the lack of response. So it says here on Twitter this week, among many thousands of abusive and threatening tweets directed at the NRA's Dana Loesch, one in particular stood out as vile and, more importantly, seemingly impermissible. Nevertheless, that tweet was not even considered a rules violation by Twitter until after public attention was focused on it, says Chris Loesch, Dana's husband and manager. Loesch told Mediaite that Twitter has ignored or left unpunished other threats in the past, but that, quote, somehow after we went public, they suddenly decided to suspend an account. Loesch is referring to an article about the threat and the subsequent emails from Twitter published in the Daily Caller. The tweet in question is only available by screenshot now, since after the account was temporarily suspended, it was deleted. And I'm not even going to read the tweet, but the user at Milan Legius was temporarily suspended, but the account is now active again. Initially, Twitter found no violation of the rules in the murder tweet. Chris Loesch provided Mediaite with the original email.
So you're allowed to threaten people on Twitter and get away with it? I don't get that.
Well, you can do it on Facebook, because I've turned in posts that have turned up on my
and they don't shut it off?
timeline that were definitely attack or just point blank, your kind should be dead And
And they
I
didn't
get
shut it
back.
down?
Not only did they not shut it down, I get back we're sorry that this upset you, but it doesn't violate Facebook policy.
Really?
It's like, really? I want to kill you because of what you are? It does not violate Facebook policy. Okie dokie. What does?
Well,
So-
you know what happened today. Are we done with that one?
Not quite.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna put the link to the article in the Facebook live chat, because if you go to the link on Mediaite, there are links to the full. I don't want to read the whole thing because it's a full letter from that Twitter sent Loesch, basically saying, sorry, but this doesn't really violate our rules. So then it says, after the Daily Caller's initial article was posted, which featured the tweet from Loesch, another email came from Twitter, this time stating that they'd changed their minds. And then there's a link to that letter, which basically says they have re-reviewed the account, etc. Dana and Chris Loesch did not submit a new inquiry in that interim. The second email states that, quote, if the account owner complies with our requested actions and stated policies, the account will be unblocked, unquote. The user's account is currently unblocked. Amid controversy over the Twitter account of Alex Jones, Twitter announced recently that they were going to take steps to further action against what they call hate speech. This is a recent blog post about their evolving of rules, so there's a link in there to that as well. Alex Jones was given a temporary suspension by Twitter earlier this month for a period of 1 week for abusive behavior. That 1 week suspension was mocked as trivial and inadequate. Then it kind of revisits the Alex Jones thing, so I'll leave it there. But it's just kind of shocking to me that somebody on Twitter, there would even be a question about whether or not that's a rules violation, and then they only suspend the guy for a week. I was just very surprised by that.
I'm not.
I'm not either. Did you?
I'm not at all.
Did you hear what happened today?
What happened today?
The person got smacked again on some of his.
Got smacked?
Well,
I don't approve of violence.
It's not violence. It's. Can I take this?
I don't know. Can you?
I love how he always takes calls when we're live on air.
He's an important and powerful man.
Then you should put it on speaker.
Hello?
Yes.
If we can't hear it, you can't play. That's not fair.
Yes. Who was it? Who is it?
You. Who's on the phone?
They want me to tell them if I'm over 55 and I slipped and fall.
At no cost to you for equipment.
No cost.
First of all, I don't need a.
See why you don't
I don't
answer
need
the
that
phone
machine.
while
And
you're
secondly,
on air?
I keep telling them I'm 5 years old, and my dad keeps telling me that if you call me again, he'll sue you, and they hang up.
You tell them you're 5 years old and your dad is threatening to sue them?
When someone calls me 8-9 times a day for the same thing, and I say take me off the list, and they don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, very good. What was the equipment they wanted to sell you?
I've fallen and I can't stand up.
Oh.
I'm not in need of that. If I was, I might respond, but I'm not. And when you ask them to take them off the list, that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
That's what your cell phone's for.
Huh?
That's what my cell phone's for.
Yeah. But today, by smack, I mean he got proven wrong. Remember how he said when the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico?
What? Whoa, back up.
The hurricane that hit Puerto Rico last year.
You mean hurricane?
The hurricane.
The hurricane?
Whatever you want to call it, I have a French accent.
Keep on stabbing me in the back.
What you're saying is not a hurricane.
You're stabbing him in the back right now. How dare you?
What is it?
I have no idea what words
Keep on
you're making
stabbing
up.
me in the back.
Really? Well, we all know what a hurricane is. So anyway, it's a storm. They just had
a
one.
cane made out of hair.
They just.
It's like the song "Rock Me Like a Hurricane."
The point that I'm making is, and you're all missing the point, is that he
Yes.
claimed only 64 people died. Our government.
Did he say that? Really?
Yes.
64 people?
Our government paid $300,000 to investigate that, and they found that there's 2,995 that actually died.
Well, remember when
that's 46 times more than what he quoted.
Remember when he went there and he was like, you should all be very
say colon?
Quoted.
Quoted, yes. Remember when he went there and he was like, you should all be very proud. You only lost a few people, whereas Hurricane Katrina, like all these people died, but you guys only lost a few people here. Good job. Remember that? Here's some paper towels.
Oh, God.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
What's really crazy is
you
the
can be
amount of people that are out there still that do not understand that Puerto Rico belongs to the United States.
That's right.
Still.
That's right. And that's what gets me.
One of the girls
really deep down.
in one of my groups,
Says
like
who?
when it happened, we were trying to help. Like, we were trying to figure out how we could help, how we could send food over from our group. And
They made it very hard, didn't they?
we couldn't send food from Amazon. We couldn't send them like a gift card kind of thing from the postal service. Like there was a suspension on sending stuff to Puerto Rico, and like she was telling us that she was hoping that we were going to be able to send food, and she was instructing us to cross out the barcodes and write donated, not for sale on them, because people were taking donated food and selling it to the people who were starving after the hurricane. Hurricane, that's the word. Yeah.
A hurricane. A hurricane.
The hurricane.
The hurricane.
Maybe you should run for mayor of Puerto Rico.
Wait,
No. Would you stop it with that?
She didn't. Well, they struggled very much so.
So much so
try
that
and
they
get
still
help.
are. And in fact,
They're
it
still
is
struggling.
our government that decided 3 months later we're no longer going to give you bottled water because it's up to you to fix your water. Well, it's
It's up to us.
They're Americans like we are. And it really bothers me that's how we treat our people.
That's kind of like the hurricane hitting Hawaii and going, too bad.
Yeah, you're just an island, so you don't count.
Well,
Too
to be
bad.
It
fair,
don't work that way.
to be fair, now we don't really want Trump going there throwing bottled water. I mean, you want Puerto Ricans being hit in the head with bottled water?
I don't want anybody being hit in the head with bottled water.
Me
but
neither.
I like them to be getting
I didn't
bottled
say
water.
he stopped throwing the water. I said he stopped providing the water, clean water.
Oh, right. Hello to Ed Murphy, who joins us in the Facebook
so what?
live chat.
California
Hi, Ed.
does that all the time. They'll do it over a fish or a bird or something. Oh,
They'll throw you
the
a
entire
fish.
community can't have water because this is endangered. Whatever.
Says who?
Go look it up.
Oh,
Tired
my.
of you when you says who.
Google it.
Google it.
I refuse to use Google ever again because they are unfair to our president, Donald John Trump.
Well, you know what? You can't use your phone without
let me
Google.
get a bite.
No.
You can't use your computer without Google.
Have you not heard of Bing?
Yes, I
I'm
have
a
heard.
Bing man from
I
now
love
on.
Bing.
From
when
now
it comes
on,
to translation, I like Bing much better.
From now on, it's all about the Bing.
How about the Bing, Bing, Bing?
If I ever got impeached, I think everybody would be very poor.
That's right.
Really?
So let's respect our president.
I think they'd be less poor. to be
Oh,
honest
my
with you.
Everybody
goodness.
going to be poor. 50% is already living
Yeah.
below the line.
Really?
Says who?
Oh,
Says
boy,
Google it.
the you know what is getting too hot and full and
Glenn,
high in here.
Glenn, while you're at the news desk, would you like to do traffic?
No, I don't have that
It's
report
fine.
here.
Oh, you're not going to do traffic
I
now?
don't-
Why don't you just go home?
No, it's too hot to walk out.
Traffic is good. That's it.
That was simple enough.
That was, yes.
It's flowing.
I have to do the
That's
traffic
really
now.
the moose's job, is it not?
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
I don't know if you...
Stop. You guys
I've
are going to
heard.
make me sad again.
I've heard.
It's very sad.
You know what? Even the moose is gone. The replica of the moose are all gone.
Let me get your opinion, Glenn R.J. Willett, the
picture's
people's
gone,
mayor.
too.
Yes, it's as though...
I don't think it's right.
It's because he's dead to us. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I'm
No,
totally
how
kidding.
could you say
I'm
that?
He's
completely
the
kidding.
one. He was never. He was
That
not
was
sent. He was not
terrible.
sent
I'm
out.
kidding.
If he wants to
Terrible.
come back, he needs to come back on his own.
But shame on
Well,
you to
I'm-
say that.
I'm curious to get your opinion there, Glenn R.J. Willett, the people's mayor. Do you feel that Peter was too tough on the moose and was bullying toward the
They've
moose?
been playing this act from day one. It's part of their radio skit.
Exactly. That's how I feel, yes.
And so I always said that eventually he wasn't going to hack it, and it happened.
Oh,
Last
you
straw.
predicted this.
Oh, a year
Did you-
Well, why not
over a year
say
ago.
something? Like if he had said
What?
something,
Yes, he should have said
then
something.
Yes.
there would have been
Actually,
a change.
Peter made it clear to me that he never said anything.
Right.
You know, you got to open up your mouth. You don't get an answer.
I
if you
thought
don't.
it was a stick.
You
I-
thought
I-
it was a what?
I thought it was a shtick, just part of their thing, their
It is.
routine.
It was. It's been like that for almost
But
2
I
years
didn't
now.
think that any part of it was serious.
No.
It was actually 2.5 years, or it'll be 2.5 years in September.
That goes back to the Egyptian times.
Well, no, it was only 2.5 years, but
I like moose.
Yes.
But you know, if you're going to do something and you agree to it, unless you change your mind, you got to let people know.
right, exactly. If you had a
I
problem,
don't know. I can recall a few times when I've seen you angrily walk out of a room.
I've never walked out of a room.
Yes, you have. You've gone off air.
I walked out of a room because people were not talking about
You
the
were?
issue.
You were?
Me?
Blaming me or you?
No.
I don't think he's blaming us. I think
whoever the issue was, they were not talking about the issue. And when you are here to talk about an issue and they make up these things that don't exist.
Somebody did. Who was it who? Oh, it was Dr. Jeff Cassell who almost drove you out.
But he didn't, though. He didn't.
No, there was somebody that actually caused him to leave, and he picked up his little. He had a newspaper with him that day. I thought.
I actually got him. I mean, and it's crazy, you know. That's the reason why you can't elect good people around, because they have to make up all this baloney because you don't even have a criminal record, so they got to make up something.
Yes. Oh my goodness, we have
fake
a call.
News.
We have a call. I hope this call isn't someone with fake news.
Probably
my goodness.
Moose.
Maybe it's someone from Google.
Probably
Hi.
the Moose.
Welcome to Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. Who's this?
Good afternoon. I thought I'd say hi to everybody.
Is this
Hello, Marie?
I was going to say, it sounds like Mary.
Hello?
It's Mary on the Cruising with Mary.
Yes.
Are you cruising today, Mary?
No, I'm not. I'm staying out of the hot sun.
No, because you haven't come to get your apples yet.
Glenn, I hope you're not encouraging her to
And
drive
I'll
and
be
be
there
on the phone.
Thursday.
No, that I'm not.
Oh my goodness, that'd be terrible.
How you doing, Mary?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Keeping cool?
Getting there slowly. You know, I was watching. You know, I usually don't watch together. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But today was very interesting. It really is. When you guys were talking about Medicare and all, it was interesting. You know, they're not doing enough for the people.
No, they're
like
not.
me. They give you
totally
a raise, and say they give you $17, I end up with $2.
Right, and then in the meantime, the medication that you were paying $4 for has now gone to $8.
Yeah, up.
You're
and
right.
you have to wait
You're
till
right.
you hit
I
a
went
certain
to get
level.
some insulin that I need.
And your
Yes.
They
medical.
want to charge me $500 for insulin
Imagine that.
because I'm in what they call a stupid donut hole.
Yeah. And you're somebody who is of age that is supposed to be covered 100%.
That's right.
Now, here I am, somebody who is underage and through no fault of my own, through cancer, became disabled. And I was denied my last chemo injection because I couldn't come up with the $1,000 copay.
Isn't that something, huh?
You know, and so
they
here
just like
I
they
can
want to give
show
me a
you.
pump.
Unless you're a rich lady,
They
you'll
want
never
me to
come up
put out
with it.
$2,000 before I can get a pump.
This is
Imagine that.
ridiculous. A person who has diabetes should not be looking at $500 bill for insulin for something that you have to have.
They would rather kill
It's
us all.
not, and that's what it makes you feel like.
That's exactly how you
Like,
makes
all
you feel.
right, you know, I used to be valuable because I was an emergency healthcare worker. I helped save people's lives. I helped take care of people that were sick and injured. I've held the hands of those that were dying. I did it for almost 20 years. I had a function. I had a service. I made money. I paid into all of that. At times, I had 3-4 jobs at a time.
Yeah,
But
me too.
now I'm worthless.
Yeah.
Because I'm disabled, so I don't even
don't want
qualify
ya.
to get the care that I gave. And she can't even get the qualify that I paid in for her to get.
Yeah. And you know, I understand what Lisa's saying. I'll give you an example. This year, Mary's right. We got a 2% increase. And because I needed more medical attention as I'm getting older and my disease is still with me, you know, the diseases don't go away overnight. And when you get older, it's sometimes harder to care for and it costs more. And so I was forced to get an HMO so that I could get the care that I need to stay healthy and keep my quality of life. So it cost me 4%. So I actually lost 2%. Now, it comes out of my check.
Yep.
So I actually have $151 less per month this year than last year.
And you've seen a rise in your copays
Yes.
on just about everything. I mean, if you want to get
Not
a
$5
bedside
no more, it's
commode,
$35
they'll be
now.
more than happy to pay for you to have a bedside commode. But for you to have a walker to get from point A to point B safely, oh, now wait a minute, I'm not sure we're going to cover that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in my situation, I had a woman go to bat for me. 2 different women. One actually from my insurance company, believe it or not, and another to actually bring me coverage for lymphedema, because lymphedema is only covered from the waist down. If you get it from the waist up, it's not covered.
Do I hear a cat purring?
Yes, you do. That's my white one just came up to the phone.
I
very
can hear
nice.
it on the headphones.
Well, Mary, we'll let you go in a second, but you should plug your television program.
Yeah, I know. That's what she does when I'm on the phone. She comes up to the phone and starts purring.
She's reminding you that you have to plug your show.
Yeah, so when do you air?
Yeah, plug your show, Mary.
Listen, Baba.
Oh, that is a loud purr.
She loves you. When do you air, Mary?
Usually when it's time, I'm surprised she ain't talking right now. But usually when on the phone, when she does that, she'll come up and she'll say hello.
Yeah.
If someone knocks at the door, she'll say hello.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
The white
You got a
Siamese.
smart cat.
Yes, yes.
Smart lady, smart cat.
So when does Cruising with Mary air live, Mary?
Yes, I am live.
When?
I wish I could have, the ones from the radio station on allow it, but it's too bad.
I know. But when does your show air live?
It's every Thursday at 5 o'clock.
On channel 23.
Yeah.
And who do you
And
follow?
channel 23, and it's live every Thursday.
And who do you follow?
Oh, I have Glenn before me.
And Willette at large. And who follows you
Yeah.
afterwards?
Then I think it's Ginger.
No, Ginger's
before him.
Yes.
And then I have
We used to have Badger in the poor
what
woman.
the heck is, I never can think of his
I'm
name.
not.
It's after me.
Rich
He's
Gerard.
I think he's an
Gerard at
older man.
large. So you're stuck between two at larges.
Ew.
Oh,
I just realized that.
yes, yes.
I just
Ew.
realized that.
Ew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of that, Mary?
I'm so sorry, Mary.
She's in an at-large sandwich.
I'm
Me
so
too.
sorry. You have my
Actually,
sympathy
Mary and
and
I get along.
condolences.
Mary and I get along very well, don't we, Mary?
Yes, we
Listen
do,
to him
Glenn.
telling her, don't
We
you
sure
marry.
do.
You answer me, yes, don't you marry.
Well,
Listen
it's
to
true.
you.
I'm
I'm
Why
not-
don't you let her answer on her own? Don't we marry?
Well,
no, he is.
she
No,
is.
he's taught me a lot on different things about the
No, I'm
TV
just giving him a
station and
hard
all
time,
that.
you
so,
know.
and
You
I
gotta
really
give
have
him
to
a
thank
hard
for
You
that.
time.
have to have broad shoulders,
I have
right?
to give him a hard time. It's no fun if I don't.
Mary, do you agree that Glenn should run for mayor of Egypt?
Or Africa.
You know, Egypt way over there. I wouldn't see him anymore if he ran for Egypt over there. And I think if he
Well,
did,
he can
would
commute.
become the guy. I probably he'd become the president over there.
Oh my
Ooh.
instead of
God.
the man.
Ooh.
Lord forgive me.
Thinking big.
But
That
what
would've
he
happened.
has, I mean, he's got some great ideas. He really has.
Yes.
Where is the Kool-Aid in your house?
All right. Glenn's going to run.
Did it come from Trump?
We're going to draft.
I had a feeling that ain't the way her
All right,
Kool-Aid
we'll
goes.
talk to you guys later. Bye bye.
All right.
Bye.
You're
Thanks,
right,
Mary.
it does it. Thank you, Mary. You're right. Her Kool-Aid does not come that way.
All right.
That was awesome.
So it's settled. We're going to draft Glenn to run for president of Egypt.
No, you're not. I'm not running for anything.
We'll put a
All
petition.
right, and
Except
then
for
I wanna
selectmen
say
next
that
year.
we should draft Matt Connarton for governor then.
Yay! As what? As a Green Party or what?
No, to run with you.
I was going
To run with me?
Well, I was going to
Yeah.
run. I was going to run for governor of Africa. Derek Evan Relaford in the Facebook live chat says, enjoying the show. Been listening for a while. Followed the show. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Appreciate that
I
very
hope
much.
you're having a lot of
I
fun.
love
because
that.
we
Call
are.
in anytime. Yeah. Anybody call in. Anybody about any topic. That's
Yes.
the fun part.
You know.
We never know what you're going to hear.
You know.
on Matt Connarton Unleashed.
That's true. That's why he's unleashed.
Dun.
You know.
Not
when,
unsheathed.
when someone
unleashed.
has
You
a
gotta
good
keep
sense of
them
humor,
separate.
you can get along with a lot of people. You have to have a thick skin, especially if you're going to be in politics. And I'm not in politics, but I still do have very thick skin.
You do, yes.
No, you don't.
I can take a lot.
No, you don't.
Oh, yes, I can.
No, you don't. You got all mad at me for picking
Yes, I
on
can.
you.
No,
for
you
not,
don't. Yes,
for
I
saying
can.
that I wanted to do your wedding.
Keep on stabbing me in the back.
Well, you do have a thicker skin than some folks who have sat at that desk.
Really?
Apparently, yes.
Apparently.
Yes.
How thick is that?
Keep
Oh,
on
you're talking
stabbing
about
me in the
the
back.
moose.
Yes.
Stop! Come on.
Come on, it's comedy.
You're beating a dead
Like,
horse.
I'm not.
No, it's a
I
dead
am not.
moose.
Oh,
Oh,
stop
come on.
it.
Stop saying that's too far.
Oh, that's too far.
Yeah, it's too far.
That's too far.
I've crossed the Rubicon.
Moose is a nice guy. I like Moose.
I want him to come
Actually,
back.
I do miss Moose on the radio show, and
I like
I'm
him.
sure a lot of people do. I wish he comes back. And
I'd like to have him on this show. I'm currently drafting a proposal for Unleashed in the Afternoon with Moose and Matt. But
all
a
we know
co-host,
that,
huh?
all we know how to say is that the
are you
traffic
throwing
is
her to
flowing.
the dogs?
What do you
Under
mean
the-
her?
What?
Her.
Well,
Don't
isn't
point at
she
me,
your
her.
co-host?
No.
No.
Oh, I thought she was.
I've never had a permanent co-host.
Oh, you don't like
He
co-hosts?
doesn't want a co-host.
I don't want an
At least
official
he doesn't
co-host.
want me as a co-host.
If he had a co-host,
He might want somebody else as a
If
co-host.
he had a co-host,
like you,
I want the
he
Moose.
wouldn't be
or the
unleashed,
Honorable
would you?
Garias or whatever, but he doesn't want me
He
as
doesn't
a
want to
co-host.
be leashed. He wants to be unleashed.
I want the
I
Moose to
don't
be my
leash him.
co-host.
I didn't say you did. I'm just saying he doesn't want any co-host because he would
doesn't
be
want
unleashed.
No,
he would be
doesn't
leashed.
want me as a co-host. That's what it comes down to.
I've never had a co-host.
Let's get down to brass tacks here. You just said you wanted Moose as a co-host. So if you wanted Moose as a co-host, then that proves you didn't want me.
Well, Moose
That's
would.
it.
Moose
That's
is the exception.
Are you
Virtually,
offended?
virtually any rule you can think of, Moose would be the exception. I mean, it's
I'm
the Moose.
offended.
The Moose is a radio legend and the best newsman in the business, as I've said. No offense, Glenn R.J. Willett, but
No offense.
he is the best newsman in the business.
No, look, are you showing that on TV?
Oh my goodness!
I'm
well,
offended.
You should show that on TV.
all right.
What am I showing?
Nothing. It's just you're offended, and I like the way you reacted. It's perfect.
It's actually a very beautiful handmade shawl.
It is.
Thank you. I made it.
See,
Well-
she's got talent.
Back years ago,
That's
I
right.
used to be able to do stuff like this. Now
That's
I
something.
can't.
That's something Trump can't do.
What's that?
That beautiful.
Crochet?
Yeah.
How do you know?
He doesn't know what it is. He was waiting
Yeah.
for me to tell him.
I love it.
He was waiting for me to tell him if it was knitting or crocheting because he
Oh.
was confused.
It could have been knit, but it's more like
Why
crochet.
couldn't it be knit? You could knit.
I can
you
knit,
could
but
knit this?
it's crochet. Crochet.
Well, we're
Will you
almost
stop trying to make everything French?
we're almost out of time, so we
I'm
gotta.
proud
Bring
of
me
my
some
heritage.
French
I
fries
am
and
proud
I'll
of
be
my
heritage.
heritage.
I'm part French too. That doesn't mean I gotta talk about it every 5 minutes.
Well, I only talk about it when you mention it.
Oy vey.
Oh, they.
We got to start to wrap up.
No, oy vey.
Already time to wrap up, huh?
Fred sent me a song that I'm dying to play, but we're not going to have time. So I will, but I will open with it tomorrow because
Not
it looks
my
like
fault.
Didn't you say that yesterday?
it's called "Love Your Neighborhood Priest" by Roy Zimmerman, and I'm dying to hear it.
I can
but-
have you heard it at
but
all?
no.
No?
Maybe it's better if I get to
I don't know.
pre-screen
You
it.
got a couple minutes to go out. You sure?
No, we don't have time
No,
for
I
the.
think you should
don't have
probably
time for the song.
pre-screen it.
If it needs to be pre-screened, that might not be
I don't want to just play the beginning and not play the whole thing. So we'll do that tomorrow. But if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org as we do archive all the shows.
And watch out
here.
for the steam. Steamy out there.
It's very hot. You
Very
should
hot.
plug
Yes.
your television program, Glenn.
Your
On
air
Thursdays,
report
we'll let it
is
large
4.
airs at 4 o'clock, and this week's going to be the Labor Day weekend edition.
All right. Very good. Ooh, exciting. All right. Thank you both. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And that's it. We're out of time. We're out of here for now. Talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Au revoir.
There he goes again.